Good evening. Thank you all for joining us once again. My name is Celeste Prescott, Public Information Officer with Southwest Incident Management Team 1. We are currently managing the Davis Fire. Our latest statistics, we are now at 5,824 acres and 76% contained. So we're very excited about that. We're up to 710 personnel on the fire, although that will be changing over the next couple days because of all the amazing hard work that they've done out there. And so we will be sending some of those folks home for some days off or on to other fires, which we know there's some other ones going on around the nation right now. So we've been so thankful for all the support that we were able to get when we really needed it, and now we need to share the resources elsewhere. But anyway, again, thank you all for joining us. We do have quite a few presenters tonight. We will take questions and answers after all of our presentations. We do like to hold the questions until the end, just as often your questions are answered throughout the presentations. But we will allow for time afterwards for questions that are pertinent to the group. I'm going to go ahead and start off this evening with the Governor of Nevada, Joe Lombardo.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here and helping us spread the communications that are necessary to be done during a crisis. So as some of you may have been here for the last town hall, and the sun is shining and the rainbows are out a little bit more than it was in the last meeting. As you recall, there was pretty dire message that we provided to the community as a result of the weather and the wind and the nuances of the fire. But today it's completely different. And as Celeste alluded to, containment is in the 70th percentile. We're able to rest the firefighters. And this morning, I had the opportunity with Congressman Amodei to go to the incident command briefing. That's where the firefighters received their direction for the next 12-hour shift. And subsequent that briefing, we went up on the mountain, up to Mount Rose. We got to survey the damage, and also we saw the firefighters on the line and working the hot spots all along the way. And my heart goes out to them, my applaud goes out to them and their efforts associated with everything that they do. Without that effort, without the partnerships with the state and the locals and the feds, we would not be standing here today with good news. And there may be some of you in the audience that say, well, I don't have good news. I had a negative experience associated with the fire, but my response to that, yes, and we feel your pain and we understand your pain, but the overarching goal was that you are sitting here and able to express your anger versus not being able to be here and losing a life as a result of. The overarching method in any crisis is your safety. And then secondary is property management. And so I'm happy to say that we're going in the right direction. We've had significant success in a short period of time. And I, myself, on behalf of the state of Nevada, want to thank all the first responders, all the people that work for them, and I can't express my gratitude enough. And I can't express my gratitude enough to the community. My condolences for the loss of property or the evacuation or mental anguish that went along with this crisis, but I have to express my delight in the cooperation that you provided in support of the first responders. You can clap, man. Thank you. So with that being said, I'm going to let the experts provide you the information and what the next 24 to 48 hours are going to look like. And first I will introduce Tim Robb. He's my security chief and also overarching chief for Department of Emergency Management for the state. So Tim.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Governor. And thank you all for being here, and thank you for your cooperation over the last several days. I know it's been challenging, and we're here to answer your questions and make sure that you have the information you need at this point in this fire. So I just want to quickly talk about the start of the fire. The governor was made aware, and our office started quickly working to ensure all the resources that could be available were, and that our communication with our state, local, federal partners, nonprofit partners, utility partners started very early in the fire. And that coordination is something that I think we need to be proud of and look towards in the future, something that we can continue to learn and improve upon, and something that we will continue to learn and improve upon. Communication, that's always huge. The governor said earlier this week that is the number one thing you need to do when faced with an emergency, and town halls like this really help achieve some of those things and have that dialogue where we can answer the questions that you may have. There's more work to do, and the team's committed to getting through the fire and making sure that it is safe for everybody to go back into our normal lives, and that's what we're looking forward to. And it's not done when the fire is out. We've got a lot of recovery work to do, and a lot of the partner agencies that have been working together on this fire will continue to work together to ensure that our landscape is repaired and the emergency stabilization is done, so that we don't have secondary impacts from this fire. And we will continue to look at some of the preparedness efforts that were done over the last several years that have really helped this fire not grow as quickly as it very well could have. And we will continue to evaluate those things and build more projects to do that type of work across the state to ensure the safety and security of our citizens and all of the people that depend on us doing our job right. So with that, I just want to thank you all. Know that we're here, and we will continue to be here. There's nothing that we would rather do than be in this room with you tonight and make sure that you have all the answers you need. So thank you very much.
Thank you both very much. And I'm going to go ahead and now bring up Truckee Meadows Fire and Rescue Chief Moore.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to save the good news for the last. This fire burned in 3 jurisdictions in Truckee Meadows Fire Rescue, the Forest Service, and BLM. Part of my job as fire chief is to make sure that we maintain good relationships with local, state, and federal fire agencies. And I just want, it needs to be said of our relationship with the Forest Service and BLM is just simply stellar. The way that we were able to both get on this fire early speaks volumes of the leadership at the Forest Service, and I'm so proud to be able to call them partners in protecting you. Forest, thank you. So even though we've only had 3 jurisdictions here, we had scores of other fire departments from around the region, as far as, of course, as Las Vegas and Clark County, Henderson, North Las Vegas, who came up to staff our stations while our firefighters could get out into the field and do what we do best, and that's put out wildland fires. So my thanks to Governor Lombardo for access to Nevada DEM and to be able to get those resources. I can't say enough about our law enforcement partners, Nevada State Police, the Washoe County Sheriff. NDOT has been out there, standing out there in the hot sun. I mean, that's probably just as hard as getting out there with a combi tool and beating up the brush on a fire line. So I want you to know that it's just not fire. It is a whole host of people, and they came together to protect you. And just keep that in mind, if you would. I'm going to give this a baseball analogy. The winning run is on second base. The batter just hit a line drive into center field, and the runner is coming around third base, and he's lined up with home plate. That's kind of about where we're at. We're on the verge of big success here. About repopulation, I understand that you're tired and you want to go home. When I was in college, I was homeless for 2 weeks. And I was homeless in Eagle County, Colorado, where it was 10 degrees below zero, and I was sleeping in my car. And it's not because I didn't have money, it's because I didn't have, there was no room at a hotel, not anywhere. And it was about 2 weeks of sleeping in the cold that made me sensitive to the homeless issues, whether they're temporary or whether they're long-term for people. I want to get you guys back home because that's where you're safe and secure. So a little bit of risk coming up. We do have a little more fire weather coming up. I think we have some breezy conditions, and the incident management team will speak to those. But I want to say this with a qualification, so please listen carefully. For those who live in Galena and St. James Village, we have a 90% chance, we're estimating 90% chance that you'll go home tomorrow. Here's the caveat, I don't know at what time. And because of Murphy's Law, there are still some things that could possibly go wrong. So I'm going to make this plea to you. Please don't line up on the highway at 8 o'clock, because I don't know if it's going to be 8 o'clock or noon or in the afternoon. But we're working very, very hard to get you back home tomorrow. So if you would, please listen to the media. When we're ready to let you back in, we'll announce that. You can look at it at Facebook or however you're following us. And we'll make that announcement through the media, and then we're going to get you back into your homes. So that is the good news, and this has been a long time, a long event, and we're tired, you're tired, but I'm glad to be your fire chief, folks. Really am. So thank you and Godspeed, and I hope all goes well for you when you repopulate. One more thing I forgot, we'll have a dumpster at the St. James Fire Station on Joy Lake Road if you need to throw out spoiled food. If you know where that's at, it's right at the entrance to St. James Village. You can go ahead and throw your food waste in that dumpster. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Moore, and we are looking forward to taking this thing all the way to home plate, rather. All right, we're going to bring up Southwest Operations Section Chief John Cervantes for an overview of the fire.
Good evening, folks. So bringing you up to current speed with what we got going on out there right now. Division Papa and Zulu, we've had that in somewhat of a mild containment for a while now, but we just started putting a little bit more containment on the line right now. Feel really good about the secureness of that area, although we do still have a little bit of heat down here in these old alfalfa fields. You know, the overturning of that over and over again, it's become problematic. It's not a threat. There's just a lot of nuisance smoke down in there in the bottom. You know, coming up into Division Alpha country here in the Davis Creek area where the fire originated at, you know, a lot of time and effort has been spent in there with the hand crews. We've had at one point in time, we've had up to 6 hand crews spread out in there. It's over 2,000 feet of hose spread out from bottom to top. Right now that's sitting with a little bit of containment down here in the bottom. Definitely feel good with the amount of mop up that has gone on along that edge right there. We're shooting for a target of anywhere from 150 feet to 200 feet of containment in that. So basically what that is this gymnasium is about 100 feet across. So we're shooting for a gymnasium and a half to 2 gymnasiums of nice coal edge before we put it to black. Okay, so that's really where we're working at. Granted, there are those times like this here where, you know, smoke does come back up. You know, the roots stay hot, rocks stay hot, that kind of stuff. So continuing on up here into Division Alpha, up here where the ski area is at, the main road has been used as a containment feature. That's looking really well, all the way down into Hidden Creek, all the way back up to back up into the residence here, and down into where we had that stopover a few days ago. When we last had this meeting, we were really, a lot of this edge was really hot, and we're getting those 60, 70 mile an hour winds, and the resources out there, the firefighters out there, super heightened awareness. We're able to hang on to that. We're working hard through the shift, really just to continue to hold that edge there, and they were really successful in doing that. Working back down in past the Joy Lake area, down into the major heart of the community today, where extra effort was put into that today with all the utility companies in there to help to really want to contribute to repopulating that. So we had a lot of focus in that area in the past couple of shifts to mop that area up, make sure the line was secure. And then working all the way back up around to the top there. With these lighter grassy fields up in the top, it was really not easy. It was a lot less complicated to mop up those edges up there and secure the fire perimeter up there. Right now, the whole entire fire can be in a state of mopping up. And then we also have a number of repair projects, suppression repair projects, to repair some of the things. We've got dozer lines all over the place out there. We're repairing that stuff. The cooperators have a set of standards that we use to repair that, try to get it back to its normal state. And then, also there's some fencing and whatnot in the interior. So we're trying to wrap all that up before we hand it back to the local unit. So that's the current state of the fire. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And just for our presenters, the mic needs to be a little bit closer for the folks online to hear, okay? But thank you very much, John. And now I'm going to bring up our incident meteorologist, Bladen Breitreiter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bladen Breitreiter. I'm an incident meteorologist with the National Weather Service. My job here is to produce forecast updates and create planning sort of products so that the team can actually put together good resources and plans and get operations together, keep them safe and whatnot. I like to think I have the best job in the world. It's pretty cool. So we had a couple days of very quiet weather yesterday and today. That is going to start to change, as you heard the chief allude to, tomorrow. If I could get the satellite picture up. All right, so the big guy here, this is who gave us all those 60-mile-an-hour winds back on Wednesday. And the big thing I want to point out with you guys there is you see all the rich colors. This is called simple water vapor imagery, and it is a composite of water vapor throughout the entire atmosphere. So the more vibrant the colors, the more the instability is, the more cloud cover there is, the more moisture there is. So going into what we're expecting as we go in to tomorrow, it's right in here. You can barely see it. It's mostly black, which tells us that all this moisture that we gained from this system that went through on Wednesday is going to get scoured out, and we're going to end up seeing a bit of drying. We're going to end up seeing an increase in winds as well. So we could go back to the matrix. All right, so here we are on Saturday, and the way to read this is anytime we see these warmer colors, we're basically moving up in caution. Anytime we see the green, we're looking at kind of better, less, we're not really hitting any thresholds per se as far as what we would consider critical fire weather conditions. We really, really care about humidity, we really care about wind, and we really care about instability when it comes to diagnosing whether or not fire weather is going to become critical. So as we look at Saturday there, you can see we don't have very much for cloud cover. Our temperatures are trending up. A lot of the lower elevations are going to start to pop into the lower 80s, may even get a couple of you guys up into the mid 80s. Our minimum humidity is going to sit right about 16%. For most areas, 15% is considered critical fire weather humidity. So we're right on the edge, and that tells me that we could possibly see a couple areas localized where we do have critical humidity thresholds going on. We do have an increase in instability because we do have that system moving in. And then we do have an uptick in winds, where as what we saw the last 2 days have been very mild, really just seeing gusts from like 12 to 15 miles per hour at most. We're going to start to get up a little bit higher, 12, gusts 22, and that's all that is considered elevated fire weather conditions. Now, as we go into Sunday, that's when things are really going to get interesting. They're really going to start to change. We have a deep cold disturbance that is coming in from the Pacific Sunday into Monday, and it is going to bring much colder temperatures. It is going to bring some pretty elevated winds, but then you'll also notice here as we look into the minimum humidity, we're jumping up to 29%. That is well in the green. So even though we have these winds that could be gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour, if we get way up on the ridge, they might be gusting to 50 or 60 miles per hour. even though we have that, we're not going to have the humidity to truly produce critical fire weather conditions. And then Sunday night, as that front moves through, we're going to have a lot of rain follow it. The good news with this is it's going to be nice, steady, over a long period of time rain. You guys are no stranger to fire in this area. The area itself is no stranger to fire. You know that what comes after fire is flood. So I urge you guys, this one's not going to be the problem. Monday, it's going to be nice, stratiform, very light rain. But now is the time to start making sure you have a way to receive warnings. You have a way to get that information and get out and evacuate should you receive a flash flood warning in your area. Any flash flood warning that you get from the National Weather Service in Reno that is connected to this fire may have a considerable tag, and that suggests that you could be seeing flash flooding, which is considered burn scar flash flooding. That could also bring debris flows with it. It does not take very many inches of water to sweep a human off their feet, and it takes about a foot of water to sweep away a car. You start adding debris flow into that, and it gets a lot worse, a lot faster. So now is the time to kind of take preparations as you go back to your homes to make sure you're ready in case you need to be dealing with flooding. This, however, on Monday, light, maybe an embedded thunderstorm here or there, but we're not anticipating to see any flash flooding out of this event. Going to be looking at a wetting rainfall, which is a great word when we think about fire. That's about 1/10 of an inch to about 1/4 of an inch. Some areas could see as much as 1/2 of an inch out of what we get on Monday. And then we'll have some quiet weather on Tuesday, and then we have another system coming in on Wednesday that's going to bring a little bit cooler temperatures, another chance for showers, and more moisture. Not going to be as deep, so it's not going to be as cold. It's not going to be as rambunctious, we'll say. But you do have another chance moving forward for some more fall-like weather. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Bladen. Bladen really is one of the best sensitive meteorologists in the business. We're very lucky to have them join us on this fire. All right, up next we have our favorite fire behavior analyst, Stuart Turner.
Good evening. My name is Stuart Turner. I'm the fire behavior analyst for the team. What I do for the team is I predict what the fire is going to do, where it's going to go, and how fast it's going to get there. That's why we bring a meteorologist on staff with us. That was much better than me reading the weather the other night, right? Yeah, that's great. So as I've been out and about in town, I've been getting a lot of questions about what happened Wednesday. And I really want to talk to you about where to give the credit, because there is credit due. The weather was there. The weather was spot on. We had every bit of that wind plus some. You know, those 70-mile-an-hour winds at the top of the mountain up there started a lot earlier than we thought they would. And they were coming down that hill as they usually do. That was all there. The fuels were dry. But what happened was on Tuesday, about mid-morning, I notified operations, hey, we're getting this wind coming in tomorrow. It's going to be bad. They immediately swept in and got the ball rolling. They got the troops out there in the field organized. All those crews started working. They got their aircraft in the air, dumped about 500,000 gallons of water on that fire. That's a lot of water. Moving it from the lake via aircraft and helicopter and put it on that edge of the fire. And then the crews got in there working night and day to ensure the fire did not get out of the line. And by the end of Wednesday night, about 7 o'clock in the evening, we knew we were successful. And it was just a sigh of relief in camp. But it solely was because of the firefighting efforts of those crews out there in the field. They were it. And yes, give that to them, because they did that. And I understand, some of us were evacuated and all of that, but we had to ensure public safety. Now, let's talk about the forecast that Bladen just gave us. What's coming up for us? And you can see on the matrix, tomorrow is going to be a big day. We're starting to look at some of the fire weather creeping back in. Things are drying out again. The wind's coming back up. What's that mean for us? So I immediately, when Bladen gave me that forecast, I started burning pixels. And I've been burning pixels all day, running the models to see what happens. And I've had a tough time getting the fire to spread out of Charley area. I've ignited in this area, ignited in this area, and it really doesn't want to move really hard because we still have some moist fuels out there and the wind is just not that strong. It's not going to get in there and mix and push those fuels very hard. And then more importantly, as you heard from operations, they've pulled that flaming edge back 200 feet on most all the fire, so it's going to be hard for it to jump out and get out. Even though with these humidities and these temperatures and these wind speeds, spotting does become a problem again, it's going to be tough for those spots to make it over that 200 feet to get out into the fresh fuels. So I'm not expecting any kind of perimeter growth over the next several days. What I am expecting is we're going to see smoldering fire behavior. Tomorrow you're going to see probably the most that we've seen in the last couple of days. As those final big fuels, the logs, the stumps, the trees, as they consume and get fanned by this weather, they're going to smoke a bit. So you're going to see some more smoke on the horizon out there. Don't be alarmed, most of it's interior. Don't think we're going to see anything moving around. We may see some creeping on the interior as it finds some fuels that haven't burned yet, some of the fine dead grass, twigs, pine needles, that type of thing. But we will see some smoke out there the next couple of days. And then Monday, as that rain comes in, that's going to push everything down. That's really going to moisten up those fine dead fuels, and that's going to eliminate any creeping. We will continue to see the smoldering. That rain will not put out the stumps. They will either be put out by crews or that's consumed. That's the only thing that's going to put them out. So we'll still have some fire out there on the landscape even after that long duration weather. And I'll be hanging around if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Stuart. And I also wanted to let the folks online know, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We do have people monitoring that, and when we get towards the end, we will try to address those, or if we can address them with our presenters along the way, we'll do that as well. All right, up next, we have the Washoe County Sheriff, Sheriff Balaam.
Good evening, everybody. So a couple things, as you heard from Chief Moore, we will be working closely with Fire and Nevada Energy because we know you want to go home. So as quick as they can tell us that the fire is good and contained and they are ready to warm the lines, we will quickly collaborate with everybody. We'll get that information out and we will pull those roadblocks like we did this morning around 9 from Montreux, and we will get you back in your home. With that, we will also have a presence in SP and us over the next couple days as you come into your neighborhoods. We want to make sure that everybody who may have left and not stayed here gets back into your neighborhoods, and that those that may want to try and take advantage of your neighborhoods, we can be there watching for them, and we will take care of them if they try to take advantage of this tragedy. So we will be visible over the next couple days, so you'll see NSP and Washoe County Sheriff's Office in there as well. I want to say thank you to everybody. I know you're tired, I know you're frustrated, and so are we sometimes, and I know we've had some missteps, and every time I've fielded a call after we've explained it, everybody's been understanding. So I want to say thank you so much. You know, some of our people got tired just as well as you did, and I know we may have been short at certain instances, so thank you for having that patience and understanding and calling and letting us work it out. With that, I also want to say, besides thank you to the fire, thank you to all the first responders. You've heard me say it again, 2,600 residents we made contact with that first 24 hours. And when the call came out, everybody came. But then over the last couple days, between NSP, PMP, NDI, so all the state entities, National Guard when we called them, and the governor made sure they were out here quickly, school police and the sheriff's office, we were able to keep your neighborhoods secure. We were able to have roving patrols throughout, and we could not have done that. And some of the things you don't see, I just want to reiterate, like today. After meeting in the morning meeting, it was said we're not going to be able to go past Montreux. Well, that's still manpower intensive, and we want to make sure we keep your neighborhood safe while fire does theirs to make sure the fire's out. And so within 15 minutes of calling the governor, we got the National Guard approved to stay till 2 o'clock tomorrow. No questions asked. And those are the type of cooperative efforts that I want to say that you guys don't see, that on the back end of my career we haven't seen, and that collaboration is there. And I want to say thank you to the governor and his office, because they recognize the need, they recognize that manpower, and we just couldn't have done it without you. With that also, I want to say if somebody, as unfortunately with looters, the other thing that may start to happen, so I want to put the word out now, and you'll see more messaging is, if somebody calls you for a GoFundMe, don't give them money. Don't give them money. Okay? No one's going to call you. If you go to Tiobe or you go to emergency management, we may have something out there. If you question it, don't ask them for the phone number and call them back. Call your local law enforcement. Call the sheriff's office, and we can confirm if that's something that they're raising money for. So please, that'll be, unfortunately, the next criminal element that's going to try to take advantage of this situation. So I want to start messaging that now. Do not give your personal information out. Do not fall for those. If you know what, if it's a legitimate thing, you can call us and we'll confirm. And then if you want to give, then you can give. Because I know there's some communities out there, members that are going to need some help rebuilding, those that lost their homes, those that need to make and prepare for the weather that's going to be coming with winter. And so we will make sure we get that information out of where, if you want to help or donate, where that can be. So please, that's the next wave of criminality that's going to hit this community. So I want to make sure to get that message out. And with that, again, thank you for everything. You heard me say before, I think my belt loop has to go out one more time because of the food and everything that you, the support and the outpouring support and love that you showed all the first responders was amazing. And that's what makes Nevada great. And thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff, and I second that. I need to stop eating cookies and brownies and all the goodies. But we do appreciate it very, very much. All right, I'm going to bring up next the Nevada State Highway Patrol. Colonel Conway.
Thank you. I am Pat Conway. I think the sheriff has pretty much covered what we want to talk about from the law enforcement side. But what I wanted everybody to know and understand is that the Nevada State Police, the resources at Highway Patrol, and all of our other divisions within the state police entities will be here until the end of this. We currently are staffing, along with NDOT and the National Guard, the various closures on the highways that you continue to see. And we will do that until we get information from fire and from NV Energy that they're ready for those to be opened. And I think, as has been said earlier, the hope and the anticipation is some of that will be occurring tomorrow. Once that occurs, we're not going to disappear. Our function will be to support the Sheriff's Department in all the efforts to get everybody back home and to make sure the communities are secure from individuals that maybe shouldn't be up there looking around and driving around. And so my staff, the state police staff, are going to be here until the end, no matter how long that takes, no matter when that might be. And if you have any issues where you need to talk with us, you just give us a call, get a hold of the state police, get a hold of the Highway Patrol, and myself or somebody will address any issues that you have. But I want you to feel confident that on the state side, under the direction of the governor, we're going to be here right till the end, supporting the sheriff's office in their efforts to get you all back home and settle things back down. Everybody's mentioned it, but I want to mention it again. Thank you very much for your support. My folks worked long hours. We've been able over the last day or so to get some of them some rest, but they're not gone. They're just resting, and you're still covered, and you'll be covered until this is done. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. All right, so we're going to bring up the Vice President of NV Energy to talk about how far they've come, which has been impressive. Jesse Murray.
Good evening, everyone. First off, as the non-public official civilian presenter this evening, the one not in uniform, I just wanted to take a moment and say that, not only as someone who's gotten to play a part on this team, but as a member of this community, the leaders that are sitting here to my right that represent fine agencies are really the best of the best. We as a community are very fortunate to have that leadership and those agencies support us when it counts the most. So I just, as that person on the panel, I wanted to express my appreciation to you all, so thank you. I also wanted to say that, NV Energy has been engaged since the first hours of this event, going back to Saturday afternoon. We understand the tremendous impact that not having electricity can have on the community. We continue to be focused on public safety. That is most important, the public safety of our first responders, not causing secondary fires that make this incident even worse than it already was. And of course, our hearts go out to those that were impacted to this. We made a commitment to be a part of this response all the way until the last customer was re-energized and repressurized from our natural gas side, and we will be here for the community as they recover afterwards. So on to the outage numbers and where we're at today. Chief Moore and I talk several times a day, and he made it clear to me a few days ago that getting people back in their homes and repopulating the areas that were impacted by the fire and what the evacuation warnings were a priority for him. And we at NV Energy did not want to let him down. When they were ready to bring down the evacuation warnings, the electricity had to be there, right? Because you can't go back to your homes unless the electricity is on. So we have had our teams prepared, have material ready, so that when they were ready and felt it was safe to repopulate areas, we were ready to get in and get those areas re-energized. That started when we were up at Thomas Creek, when we went to Fawn Lane, when we went to Callahan Ranch. We were ready when they were ready. And that is a commitment that we're going to continue here as we continue to move up the Mount Rose Highway. So today, we re-energized another 441 customers in the Montreux area. That's now makes a total outage count of 805 customers, down from 1246 yesterday. We are prepared, as soon as it is safe to do so, to re-energize all of the areas down slope of the Douglas Fir Mount Rose interchange, including the St. James Village area. So as soon as the work is done there with the fire personnel in the area, we are ready to re-energize all of those areas down slope again of the Douglas Fir area. We did experience significant damage on the line that goes upslope from Douglas Fir, starting there at Galena Creek Park, that then feeds the Sun Ridge area, the Tenenbaum area, and then ultimately the ski resorts and the TV transmission towers actually that are at the top of Slide Mountain. There's approximately a few hundred customers there, but we had crews prepared and ready to go this morning to start those repairs. We had 8 poles that we needed to replace, and you can see here on the screen, I have a couple of pictures. These poles were first installed decades ago, and at that time, the most efficient way to install poles on a 30-40% slope was by mule team, okay? So today we have more efficient ways, but still that shows you how difficult it can be to get into these areas. Certainly our fire professionals have been trying to fight the fire in these areas for the past couple of days. This was the area that saw some of the most intense firefighting on the Wednesday concern weather day. But we got in there starting last night and into this morning. Those 8 poles were, at this time, we're 95% complete on those 8 poles. And we expect to be complete on fixing those poles by tomorrow morning, ahead of when we think that any evacuation warnings would drop there. So as the fire teams again move up the mountain, we are there to make sure that we are re-energizing. On the natural gas side, we talked yesterday a little bit about how we have to repressurize our natural gas mains. We serve customers going up as far, again, as the Douglas Fir interchange. We have to repressurize those mains, and that involves emitting natural gas. So there was some natural gas odors in the area yesterday. That's a completely normal and safe operation when we go to re-energize those mains. But the second part of reestablishing natural gas service is that we have to come into your home and make sure that furnaces, hot water heaters, fireplaces are safe. If they have a pilot light, that those pilot lights are relit safely. And we, of course, don't want to do that until you're back home. So we are trying to stage those resources such that when a new repopulation wave is announced by the officials, we're ready on the natural gas side to come into your home once you are ready for us to come in and safely reestablish natural gas service. If you're home, we're actually knocking on your door. If you're not home, we're leaving a hanger on your door. That hanger has a number. Call that number when you're ready. We will have what we call customer servicemen. Those are the folks that come and reestablish that service. They will respond to your home on short order to get that natural gas service reestablished. So if you're one of those customers that's out of gas, that's what you can expect over the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, I just want to reiterate my commitment to the community on behalf of the 2,500 employees of NV Energy. Just click through a couple more pictures here. You can just see the terrain that we're dealing with. So we were able to get a couple of pieces of heavy equipment up there today to start working on the lines. I would also say that we didn't have to just replace the poles, but when they drop fire retardant on the lines, that can potentially damage the lines if we go to re-energize them. So we have to actually replace some of the hardware at the pole top. If you go to the next picture, please. You can actually see a little bit on this picture here. There are those little bell-shaped devices at the top of the crossarm. Those are called insulators. If those insulators if they get fire retardant on them, they can potentially cause damage and even an ignition in an extreme case. So we have to replace all of those. There were about 60 of those that we had to replace today, and that actually involves a lineman climbing to the top of the pole to replace those. And I think there's one more picture here. There he is right there. There's our lineman. So again, I very much appreciate the opportunity to give you an update from NV Energy's perspective, and I'll turn it over to our next speaker.
Thank you, Jesse. And now you understand what we've all been up against out there. Seeing those pictures really helps explain it. All right, I'm going to bring up U.S. Forest Service Humboldt-Tiobe Representative Matt Zoomstein.
Thank you. Matt Zoomstein. I serve as the district ranger for the Carson Ranger District and the AA on this incident. And man, talk about high stakes, huh? You know, the support that we've got from you guys on behalf of our federal partners, BLM and Forest Service, just want to thank the community out there. The support's been tremendous, and that has directly helped us to maintain the morale of our troops out there on the ground. To our local cooperators, Chief, appreciate the words. Governor, the support's been amazing. NDF, all of the utilities, NVE, Sheriff, Highway Patrol, Colonel. The coordination's been amazing. As Chief said, we emptied out the barns here. All of our local fire protection districts had all of their engines and their resources helping out. We had our engines as federal partners on the incident, our hand crews, the people in support of the overhead. We kind of got lucky here because a lot of our local resources were here. Oftentimes this time of year, our Type 1 crews, our hand crews, they're off on other fires battling incidents, but we had Black Mountain Hot Shots, Silver State Hot Shots, Slide Mountain, Zephyr. These are the people who you're bumping shoulders with in the grocery stores and dropping kids off at school. They know the mountain. They have deep care for it. And I really think it made a difference. We had folks working the fire who were evacuated. John Palma, August Eisenhagen was IC while he was evacuated. Him and his family were evacuated. These folks looked at that fire, they in the teeth of the wind, choking down soot and ash, and took on that challenge, and they won that. They won. We held it, and you know, I kind of like the baseball analogy. You know, we are rounding home on the firefight, but perhaps, you know, the way we're looking at it is that it's a doubleheader. We still got some work to do. You know, we're well on our way with the suppression repair. After that, we've ordered up a team to come in with burned area emergency response. And then there's the restoration effort that's after that. So we're committed, and you know, we take great pride in serving you guys and caring for the land. I do want to note that, you know, there's a closure order that will remain in place. We're working hard to shrink that as it's safe to come in and enjoy our public lands, but we do need some space to work to do that important stuff. But as soon as we can get it back together and get it open and safe for you guys to to recreate, enjoy those lands, we will, rest assured. I'm just really happy right now, so thank you all.
Thanks so much, Matt. All right, we're down to our last two presenters. Next, I'm going to bring up from Nevada National Guard, the Director of Joint and Domestic Operations, Colonel Cerfolio.
Thank you. Nevada National Guard remains working the fire in support of the governor, state and local agencies, and the incident command team. I want to start by saying thank you to the community. I think a lot like everybody else, but in my way, it's a little different. The Nevada National Guard is made up about 75% part-time uniformed guardsmen. So what that means is in a normal year, they work 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks during the year. Quick activations like what we had this week take these guardsmen from their normal lives, away from their families, away from their full-time employment, and their college courses. I want to thank those families, those employers, and the professors who are so gracious and understanding about the folks having to activate for this fire. I know it's not easy when these members get called away at a moment's notice, and when I say a moment's notice, we were actually calling people on Saturday night at 11 o'clock p.m., and those members were ready at 7 a.m. the next morning. So waking people up from bed, and they were there the next morning. I know I assure you they're working hard, and they'll return to their community and their jobs and their families and their classes very soon. For an update today, Nevada National Guard hand crews remain engaged in the Sierra foothills, supporting the Nevada Division of Forestry. Nevada Army Aviation helicopters are on standby for calls of support today and will remain that way through the weekend. Additionally, the Nevada National Guard is continuing to support the Washoe County Sheriff's Office and the Nevada State Police in securing the affected neighborhoods. I can't thank the governor, the sheriff, the incident commander, the Nevada State Forester, and so many others for their ability to integrate us with them during this state emergency. On Tuesday, we all stood in this very room, outlook very grim. I, like many of you, was extremely nervous about the outcome the fire might have the next day. Today, I feel very optimistic and extremely proud of the whole community. I'm so lucky to call myself a Nevadan. And just part of that being a Nevadan, I know Sheriff Balaam's father and my father grew up together in Yarrington, and I think some of us have seen Brett Compton, who's the incoming chief of the Nevada, Division of Emergency Management. His father and mother both grew up with our parents as well. So Nevada's still a small state, and like I said, proud to be a Nevadan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colonel. All right, so our last presenter, last but not least, our Incident Commander for Southwest Team 1, Carl Schwope.
All right, good evening, Carl Schwope, IC here with Southwest Team 1. So I got to go with the Chief Moore baseball analogy. I tried to go with high sixes, Matt, but I just couldn't come up with anything. Rounding third, headed home, and all I could think about is I'm going to stumble over the third base, and we're not going to do that. We're focused. There's still 805 customers without power. We still have folks evacuated. And so we're going to stay focused and do our part and make sure we get this fire in a place where we don't have that anymore. And that's our focus for the next coming days. We have the fire, you heard 76% contained. And that's took a lot of work to get here. And I know y'all been following along with that. So what does that mean? So the next 24% that we have to go is probably some of the toughest line that's out there, right? The easy stuff comes first, and those crews are working in some pretty steep terrain, heavy fuels that hold a lot of heat. And if you think about your campfire that has a fire ring around it, and you have that fire and you get ready to leave, you don't just leave that fire smoldering in that campfire ring. That's kind of where we're at. You would put your campfire out we got to put this fire out. We have our ring is the fire line that they've put in, and so now they're extinguishing that. We won't put the whole fire out. There'll be plenty of stuff still smoldering well interior. We're just putting the stuff out that's a threat to the line, and you know, we can work a couple hundred feet in for that. And we're going to continue doing that over the next week or so. And then after that, you know, at some point in time, the Southwest team's going to leave, and the fire will go back to the local agencies, and both the Forest Service and BLM and Truckee Meadows Fire. They're still going to have people patrolling those fire lines until that last 24% is can be taken care of and go to 100% containment. But that might be weeks, maybe months down the road. It may even take a little bit of snow to help out on some of those places, but the fire's good. We know we have some wind coming. It's not like the other day where we think this thing may get up and run. The fire's in a good place. Firefighters have it in a good place. So that'll all take care of itself. And then after that, what we're going to focus on over the next week or so is what we call suppression repair. Any place we've put in dozer line and hand line and we've tore up the ground and things like that, we'll fix some of that so that the land can start healing itself. And that's all part of the responsibility that the team has, in addition to making sure we get the fire in a place where folks can get back home. And I don't know how many more of these meetings we're going to do. My guess is this is probably the last one. We'll keep you updated online and post information online the rest of our time here. So if you can bear with me a little bit, I want to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about this group of folks that's over here, because I know as the incident management team, and especially as incident commander, I've been getting a lot of credit for work that other people are doing. And I think it's important. I know everybody hasn't had there's people suffering from this incident, still suffering and going to suffer for a while. And I think one of the best ways to help heal from that is to know that as a community, you're not alone. And so I think as a community, it's important to know what kind of folks you have over here to help you out. And I can stand up here for a long time and tell stories that's happened over the last week, but I'll try and make this brief. But Governor, from your office, it's just nonstop support. And I know most of my dealings from your office is probably through the Nevada Division of Forestry, and what an amazing group of folks that are right there and solving problems at every phone call I've made. Chief Moore, there's no way I can even do justice for you and your program. What an amazing program you have. And the rest of you don't count. I'm talking about my staff. From the law enforcement side, county, state, I don't think people really know what y'all go through every day out there, protecting folks, staffing roadblocks, DOT included. And if you folks think that they don't take their job serious, I still get frisked every morning coming into camp. Jesse, from the NV Energy side, you know they're out there getting your power back on. He showed you the slides, but it's not just the work, but it's the passion, it's the professionalism, it's the dedication ready to get you back home. And these folks are working 24/7 too. And you know, from the Forest Service and BLM, our federal partners, I think the first thing Matt told me when I got here was everything we do on the Forest Service is to protect the communities. And that was a very powerful and guiding statement, and that hasn't wavered one bit. And Colonel, what you said about the National Guard and that these folks aren't full-time, that they have to leave their home at a moment's notice, and they did, that's pretty powerful. And I wanted folks to know that this group of folks over here and their staff are some pretty amazing people. But probably the most amazing group of folks is you. The community, the support we've gotten from the community, volunteers just stepping up, giving anything they have, offering things. that's probably the most powerful thing. So thank you for that. I think that's about all I got.
Thank you so much, Carl, and I'll second that. The community support has been absolutely outstanding. We really do appreciate it. With that, I will say that we have so much stuff that's been donated, and we are now losing folks. So I would say take those donations to the folks that have been impacted by the fire at this point. We are really well supported, really well fed. And thank yous, your support online, the thank you signs around town, all of that has just meant a ton to us. So if you want to show your appreciation, that is a really great way to do it. And also just being respectful of our firefighters and folks that are out there working really hard to get this, get you back home and get everything cleaned up the right way. I know there's some folks online that are concerned about Sunridge, and I don't have an exact answer for you as to when you'll be able to go home, but know that it is being evaluated every day, multiple times a day, and that will continue until we get you home. We're not forgetting about anyone, but there is open fire line near there, and so we want to make sure that that is secure before we allow you back in there. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions in the group. I do have somebody with a microphone over here. I need you to be able to get his attention and speak into the microphone so that the folks online can hear you. I would like to keep the questions pertinent to the group. We will stay around afterwards and answer all your one-on-ones. So if it just has to do with your home or whatnot, please just wait until afterwards, but it has to do with the group. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, because there's been some confusion about the factors that'll get us back home in Galena and St. James. So is it that energy is good and ready, and it's just fire giving the go-ahead, or vice versa? Because we've heard both today.
I think we got a Augie coming up to address that.
Good evening, August Eisenhagen. I'm Division Chief with Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District. I was one of the incident commanders for the first several days of this in unified command with the Forest Service. Since transferring command to the team, repopulation has become my baby to deal with, and that's been my main focus every day for the last 3 or 4 days. So the question was, what are the limitations? What are the criteria? Is that the question?
Yeah, well, is energy ready and it's just your call about the safety and the fire, or is fire and safety ready and energy's not necessarily? We're confused.
Okay. To clarify that, there are multiple factors that all have to be in alignment. So first, from the fire side, we need to ensure that the fire perimeter is mostly safe, right? None of this is perfect. That's why they're still yellow. That's one element that needs to be in place. Second element, separate than the perimeter, is in the areas that we've lost structures. We need to ensure that those structures are moderately safe and extinguished. Structures hold heat a lot longer than the vegetation on the landscape. Third piece, our law enforcement component needs to be able to staff the new holes into the community, right? When we propose, all right, we're gonna open this community, that creates new staffing points that they have to be in place for the security side. On top of that, we have to have NV Energy on board, locked and loaded, ready to recharge that system. So all of those components need to be in place before we say go. Does that answer the question? Not in any priority order, right? It's the full package.
And was the 90% number applied to all 4 of those factors?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say thank you so much. This has been very stressful, and just can't imagine what you guys had to do, but we're grateful. I'm sorry for the loss for the people who lost their homes. Has there been any looting to date? And then I just have a couple comments, because I've been at the top of Joy Lake since '09, and there's some stuff that I just got to tell somebody in the fire department.
Why don't we have that conversation after, but I'll go ahead and let the sheriff address the looting.
So on the looting, no, there has not, to our knowledge, and everything that's repopulated so far, we haven't had any reports as we repopulate the final sections, except for Sunridge, whenever that occurs again. when you go in, and if you did find something, please let us know. We'll go up there. But we've been actively patrolling. I know there was rumors before that we had arrested somebody up there. We have not, but we are diligently, between Nevada State Police and us, watching all those areas.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Hi. Are you able to describe what we might generally see when we go up there? Like, is it scorched earth or 50% canopy destruction or just underbrush in general? I know some structures were lost, and that's really terrible. Did it top out at 12 is what I kind of think I heard or saw. But, I mean, if you go along the 50 between here and Sacramento, it was like total devastation, and I just don't know what to expect to see.
Sure. For a majority of the heavy forested area here, it's pretty much a mosaic. There's certain areas that it burns, it looks like a nice controlled burn, but there's areas that the topography was so steep that fuels just lined up perfectly, and with those high winds, it did take some of the canopy out. But it's not widespread. All the way into the Winters Creek. Right here, there's quite a bit of heavy tree mortality in that area. It's a perfect chute running up slope, and it's very steep. So there's not a whole lot that can be done with that. Out here in the grass, you know how grass burns. But around the communities, up in here where some of the homes are at, up along where we did a lot of the burnout operations, we emphasized the best methods we could to minimize some of those impacts. The visual aesthetics is still important to us, taking care of the forest. But there was a lot of the forest that burned that we had no control of. So it's best way to describe it. It's a mosaic. Yeah, that's just how Mother Nature uses fire.
Yes, and another question?
Yeah, I heard many fine speeches, some excellent people here tonight. I'm impressed with every one of you, and I want to thank you for having been here, and especially the troops on the ground. Having said that, the Joy Lake Road area, Galena Forest, 1, 2, 3, Southwest Pines are all in the green, not in the black even. And the question is when is that, and what specific criteria for that area to get opened? Following that, going on out, you look at St. James Village, and they're in the black, and some of them are still in the green. So it's kind of a question that all of us want specifics to for criteria, and when.
Okay, we'll bring up Augie as well, but I think John may have a few words on that.
Yeah, and I'll just talk about a little bit about the effort and that's going on up here to help add that. So like I was explaining here, this is tough country. The slope in here is steeper than this walkway. And in order to get folks back and forth 200 feet on that, it's very tough, very challenging. To speak about that, the fuels up in here, you live there, so you know that the needle cast, the tree, that's all, it takes time just to get through that. Like was mentioned, it was easy to get around some of this corner because it's grass, right? Shrubs. But up here in the thick pine, it just takes a little bit more time. It's not that it was prioritized. I like to think that we have equal effort all the way around the fire. We have multiple resources, so each one of these divisions has their own complement of engines and hand crews, water tenders, you name it. So it's just taking a little bit more time in there.
Were there specific areas that you were asking about?
Galena 1, Galena 2, Galena 3, Southwest Pines, all up the Joy Lake Road, in the green, not the black.
Correct. So broad generalization, the way that we're approaching this is the most active areas of the fire and our most recent activity have been on the west side. So if you've been watching the repopulation, it's our comfort level that as the risk is diminishing, we've been going east to west, right? Yesterday we did Fawn Lane and Callahan Ranch in the areas north of Mount Rose Highway, farthest away. As our comfort level has increased, today we did Montreux. Tomorrow, if everything goes to plan, we'll be doing St. James and Joy Lake Road areas. That's the overarching logic behind it. As the safety has increased, we've felt more comfortable getting closer to the more recent activity. Does that make sense? It's not so much a question of green or black, because arguably the homes that are in the green are in more danger than the ones that are in the black. Right? Because the black has already burnt. The homes in the green still have fresh fuel that's available for consumption around them.
All right, thank you for that. And just wanted to let you guys know, if you look on the social media sites, there are some photos that will kind of show the mosaic burning. In some areas, like they were saying, it is a nice, clean, good burn. It'll be healthy with low tree mortality. In other areas, it's going to be a little more drastic. We are going to expand on that more on social media tomorrow. We actually are going to share a little bit more what mosaic means, and we have some more photos that are coming from the field so we can give you more idea of what to expect. Do we have any other questions here in the room for tonight? Oh, well, one right back up here.
All right, thank you. I've been trying to follow along, but I still don't understand, why do we have to have electricity to go home?
Jesse, do you want to, or I guess, Augie, do you want to come address that one? I think part of it is safety, because if you have power lines down, then it's not as so safe, but.
That's correct. Some clarification on that. You don't necessarily have to have electricity to go home. But what we do have to have is the initial pass-through by NV Energy saying that it's safe. We've had numerous areas where lines have been down, poles have been down. That said, our goal, right, with NV Energy working in front of the crews, is that when you go home, you do have electricity. That was not the case for some of this community down here. Some of them were still out of power when it was open.
All right, we have one more question.
I just want to say thank you. I'm grateful. You saved my home. If it hadn't been for a firefighter, I never would have got home to get my family out. I would have had 10 minutes, I had 45 minutes, and with large animals, every minute counts. So I'm thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. We love the appreciation and the success story. All right, well, it looks like that's it for the evening. We will stick around for those individual questions. Again, I so appreciate all of your support, both in the room and online. And thank you so much again to the school for loaning us this lovely building. You guys get home safe, and please be safe this weekend. We're still in fire season, so think about anything that could cause a spark, and be careful out there. Thanks so much for having us.